6:00.
Okay, this is the call to order for the October 26th meeting of the Santa Clara County Planning Commission. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Levy. Here. Commissioner Escobar.
Here.
Commissioner Rouser.
Present.
Commissioner Moore is absent. Vice Chairperson Belska.
Here.
Chairperson O'Donohue.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Great. Please stand if you're able to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. My name is Sean O'Donohue, and I'm the chair of the Planning Commission. On behalf of the commission, welcome to today's meeting. At this time, please turn off or mute all electronic devices, including cell phones that may interrupt the meeting. The first item on the agenda is public comment. This item is reserved for people who wish to address the commission on any matter within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission that is not on this agenda. The law does not permit commission action or extended discussion of any item not on the agenda except under special circumstances. Members of the public who wish to address the commission on a non-agendized item should request to speak at this time by giving a request to speak form to the deputy clerk if you're in chambers, or by using the raise hand icon if attending virtually. Are there any speakers?
We have no speakers in chambers, and one moment to give the Zoom attendees a chance to raise their hands, and we have no Zoom speakers either.
No Zoom speakers. Okay. Then we will close public comment. We're going to take item number 8 out of order. Item number 8 is to receive a report relating to the San Martin Planning Advisory Committee. Is someone from SIMPAC present to provide a report?
Through the chair, Lisa McCall, I don't believe there was a SIMPAC meeting, and this may be what the clerk.
You're right.
There was not a SIMPAC meeting, but Sharon Luna, who is the new chairperson of SIMPAC, is an attendee. I don't see her raising her hand to say anything, probably because the meeting was canceled.
Sure. There should be nothing to report. There was no meeting.
Great, thank you. We're moving along in this meeting. Okay, item number 4, receive report from the Office of Sustainability relating to the County Sustainability Master Plan. Does staff have a presentation for this item?
Thank you, and I'll just do a quick, through the chair, I'll do a quick introduction. We have Gilly and Tanya here from the Office of Sustainability for the county, and they're here to present on the county's Sustainability Master Plan. So they have about a 15-minute presentation. And this is one of the items that we've agreed through the work plan of the Planning Commission to give as informational and educational to the commission. So I'll go ahead and hand it over.
Good evening. Hopefully you can hear me with the mic a little bit off. Thank you. I'm Gilly Corral, Sustainability Manager with the Office of Sustainability. With me is Tanya Veach, our Senior Sustainability Analyst, and as mentioned, we're here to present on the County Sustainability Master Plan, or SMP. We will also highlight current initiatives related to the implementation of the SMP and other items that this commission might find of interest. So I'm not sharing anything new when I say that the climate is changing. It is in fact changing faster than what has been previously predicted. As you can see from the headlines in this slide, this is just a reminder of the events from the past few years. You might recognize record-breaking wildfires, the orange skies. We all remember from 2020, heat wave last year, and in 2020, of course, multiple atmospheric rivers last winter. July has been the hottest month recorded so far, and most recently a hurricane in Southern California that broke the record for the amount of rainfall received in one day. We'll narrow the picture a bit to Santa Clara County. This on the screen, these are local, next slide, yeah. We've got local projections from our Silicon Valley 2.0 climate change preparedness tool. This is a tool that's available on our Office of Sustainability website. It's a free portal. So based on local data, our county is projected to see an increase in extreme heat days and warm nights, extreme wet and dry events, more frequent and intense storms, and an increased frequency, duration, and extent of wildfires. With a 1 to 2 feet increase in sea level rise, coastal flooding would also increase. So climate change is what we call a stress multiplier and will amplify existing inequities already present in the county, whether it's the amount of tree coverage or urban canopy that we see in different neighborhoods, or the higher risk of flooding for socially vulnerable folks that call this county home. But the good news is that many of the solutions to climate change, some of which we'll present in this presentation, not only reduce climate pollution, but also improve the health and well-being of families and vulnerable neighbors in our county. So at this point, I'll hand it off to Tanya, who will give an overview of our county's sustainability master plan, which was adopted by the board in 2021.
Thank you, Gilly, and good evening, commissioners. Through the county's sustainability vision to build a livable, equitable, and resilient county is achieved through priority actions across 4 priority areas, 8 goals, and 30 strategies. The priority areas are focused on reducing carbon emissions and building resilience, protecting and enhancing natural resources, improving health and well-being and eliminating health inequities, and cultivating a prosperous and economically vibrant county. I will highlight key achievements across these 4 priority areas in the next few slides. The data presented is extracted from our 2022 Sustainability Annual Report, or Annual Sustainability Report, with forthcoming 2023 updates set to be showcased in our upcoming 2023 report. For our first priority area, climate protection and defense, we undertook several actions in 2022 to support the county's efforts to reduce the carbon emissions from its operations. As the 2020 greenhouse gas inventory shows, we reduced emissions 24% from 2019 due to employees teleworking during COVID-19 shelter in place and limited use of some facilities. Our facilities continue to be powered by 100% renewable energy. 31% of our fleet is now alternative fuel, which just got us a ranking of 6th leading fleet in the nation. We're readopted our building codes to require new construction and unincorporated and county facilities to be all electric. Additionally, we have a continuity of operations and resilience study that assesses the vulnerability of our 3 hospitals to the impacts of climate change. We saw the continuation and expansion of the county's efforts focused on natural resources and the environment through the expansion of our urban forests by planting an additional 862 trees in 2022 at multiple locations throughout the county's trees planting and stewardship program for a total of 2,048 trees, and establishing a new partnership with the Office of Education to plant 1,000 trees at school campuses in high-need areas and neighborhoods. In partnership with the San Jose Conservation Corps, 759 cubic yards of trash and 7,693 cubic yards of vegetation and debris have been collected from Caltrain's right-of-way since April 2019. This effort is now being expanded to the countywide litter abatement program. And we connected over 35 miles of existing trails in countywide trails network by completing the extension of the Verrill or Norton Trail in Almaden-Quicksilver County Park. The county continued to work towards building a healthier community by expanding safety net services and providing opportunities for physical activity and personal enrichment. Over $2.5 million in 2022 were paid to 1,358 single and multifamily homes in the county for energy efficiency and electrification upgrades to improve air quality, safety, and comfort of homes. The Department of Family and Child Services, DFCS, programs with expanded prevention services as well as increased family engagement resulted in a 60% reduction in children coming into foster care. And Santa Clara County Library District developed several virtual and in-person program offerings. One such effort is the creation of 30 nature day packs by the libraries in Morgan Hill and Gilroy for public use. With supplies that enhance outdoor exploration, discovery, and make a connection to nature. The Nature Day Packs have been checked out over 178 times so far. The county continued to boost the economy and promote leadership and collaboration by getting over 250 businesses green certified across the county. And in 2022, the businesses we certified saved 27,250 pounds of CO2, which is equivalent to planting 42 acres of urban trees. The board adopted a sustainable purchasing policy and hired a new strategic source officer with the procurement department to lead on sustainable purchasing through county procurement and contracting activities. Successfully accomplished one target through the adoption of the food system work plan and undertaking several initiatives to achieve work plan goals. One of the efforts is a countywide food recovery initiative, which is a partnership between all the jurisdictions in the county to meet requirement of statewide goals under SB 1383. As part of this effort, 9 million pounds of food was recovered, which was used to provide access to nutritious food for food insecure households within the county. And these are currently 58 dashboards on the Sustainability Master Plan website. We have only shared a few data points from the Sustainability Dashboard in this presentation. The dashboards are interactive and have easy to understand visuals of baseline and progress data for targets identified in the Sustainability Master Plan. These dashboards are updated annually, and we encourage the Planning Commission and community to visit the website to explore the dashboard and view progress.
So Tanya's given you a kind of high-level overview of the Sustainability Master Plan and how that connects to some of our ongoing and achievements to date. I did also want to highlight a few efforts that will be launched or completed over the next couple of years, so you can see what's in the pipeline and hot off the press to further our work in sustainability. So I wanted to mention we're going to begin implementing the very recently adopted carbon neutrality pathway for county operations. So a carbon neutrality goal for our county ops by 2030. This will also include a carbon sequestration study, which is really exciting work, and a recommendation to replace the county diesel-fueled equipment with cleaner alternative solutions. We're also finalizing a community climate roadmap 2035, which is focused on unincorporated county and county-wide climate action. I will be presenting this roadmap for board adoption in the coming months. And as part of the public review process for this roadmap, this will be an opportunity for outreach for community members to get involved in this public process. Also wanted to mention, I might have heard EPA's climate pollution reduction grants. I know we're very excited about that in our office. We've received a $1 million formula allocation on behalf of San Benito County and Santa Clara County for some regional climate action planning work. This is getting us ready for the bigger pot of money through EPA, which is the implementation pot. It's $4.6 billion on a federal level with a maximum level grant around $500 million for each of those. So we're looking into that and seeing what the county strategy is going to be for that. The county's updating policy documents such as the general plan, safety element, and the local hazard mitigation plan to include climate risks and also to include resiliency goals and strategies. We're working on projects across the county to improve preparedness and resiliency to heat waves and flooding and other climate risks and impaired air quality at county facilities and within the community. So additional efforts in other areas of priorities include we are in the middle of launching the county Santa Clara County Sustainability Commission, which is very exciting. It will advise on policy, programmatic, and community engagement aspects related to this county SMP. Also building out governance for the food system work plan that Tanya mentioned, to include a food systems leadership collaborative and a resident food equity advisory council to support with work plan implementation. Launching through our Office of Sustainability a Youth Climate Initiative through a grant through the state to elevate the leadership and career preparedness of youth in Santa Clara County on climate change. And we're also working through purchasing studies to identify and prioritize different areas of commodity spending for sustainable purchasing. And on the employee side of things, so we've launched a new climate change and health employee training to help our employees to be sustainability practitioners. And as of October, we have over 630 employees that have completed this training. So I think we've got the last slide, and I'll just close out with this quote as a reminder that climate change is already impacting the communities that we have a mission to serve. And the work of climate action does seem daunting at times. I know it does to our office, but the cost of inaction is just so much higher. And also just to thank you all for the service that you're providing through this Planning Commission and for your time today. And Tanya and I are here if you have any questions.
Thank you very much for the report. The commission will have an opportunity to ask staff questions about the report. I just wanted to try to remind everybody to try and stay on topic and avoid any tangents that are not related to the presentation. Commissioner Levy.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Your office is doing wonderful work. As a matter of fact, I worked on one of the green businesses and has an organization I work with become a green certified business. Are there any specific programs you're working with the county planning department right now? Are there specific things, reach codes, et cetera, the planning department's working on that we should be aware of?
There are a number of initiatives with the planning department. I think reaching back into our presentation, I would mention the general plan safety element and the local hazard mitigation planning efforts. Our team on the sustainability office are working very, very much through that process just to make sure, a few extra pair of eyes on those climate risk elements and just putting in some subject matter expertise on the resilient side. So we're definitely working through that. There are probably quite a few others, but those are top of mind for me.
I might just add that, as we know, the building codes update every 3 years. So recently, we just adopted the most recent electric or use codes, but planning is already happening for those next code upgrades. So our office continues to work with the planning department as more information becomes available. So we'll be working closely together on that as well.
And through the chair, it was nice to see even in the presentation, we had actually our director was in one of the pictures and another planner as well. So we do actively work with the office, and it's not just our department. They work actively with all of the most of the departments in the county, and I think the director wants to supplement.
I just wanted to let you know through the chair, we already adopted our REACH codes. They have already gone through. So we did that, I think it was 2021, if I'm not mistaken. So we did update our REACH codes already. They came forward.
Okay, great, thank you. Are you working for getting some of the grant money out of the Inflation Reduction Act for the tree canopies? I understand there's $1.5 billion in the Inflation Reduction Act for trees. Is that something that you're working on?
We are definitely reviewing all of the money that's coming through the IRA. We're comparatively to the money available, a smaller office, but we're not in isolation. We have other departments that are looking at the opportunities as well. I'd say the grant opportunity that's most front of mind is the one that I mentioned through EPA, the Climate Pollution Reduction Grant. We do have that $1 million for planning, and then looking to that bigger pot of funds to get our region ready for that. Okay. But we're definitely tracking the other many different types of funding streams that are coming down from the IRA.
Yeah, there's a lot of resilience issues going on with with flooding, with seawater rise around the wastewater treatment control plant, Coyote Valley, et cetera. So I'm sure that you're involved in those projects as well. I guess that's not really a question. It was it's sort of a comment because there's a lot of resilience issues that are coming up right now. Are you involved with the Coyote Creek, the Anderson Dam / Coyote Creek project as far as resilience is concerned, flooding resilience?
I'm not sure that we've been pulled in a specific way to that to date, but I could go check that with my team. I should also mention I've been with the office for about 7 months now, so.
Okay.
may
Anyway,
not
that
know
one's probably
everything that
being
we're
handled
involved in.
by others, parks, water district, et cetera. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate all the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Vice Chair Belska.
Just a quick question on my part, mostly curiosity. For the planting of the trees, is there information on the website that you mentioned about like where the trees get planted, how those decisions get made, and can the public make requests or submit suggestions?
We are working on this is related, so I'll mention another initiative. We have a CAL FIRE grant that we were awarded. We're working on an urban forestry master plan, so that'll get at some of that, where and when and how the decisions are made. So for the specific trees that Tanya mentioned in her presentation, I'll have to look in our website and see if there's documents there related to that.
And I'll say on our website right now for the dashboard, it's been tracking the years planted since the Sustainability Master Plan was adopted. But we currently don't have like a feature where make a suggestion on where we should plant trees. But as I mentioned in the presentation, we did establish that relationship with the County Office of Ed, which we're really excited about, to be able to plant 1,000 trees on school campuses in those high need areas. So we're constantly looking for opportunities. We have current funding to be able to plant so many trees, but to Commissioner Levy's question earlier, there's additional funding needed to support the urban forestry that we need here for our county.
Commissioner Levy?
Yeah, just on your tree master plan, your canopy master plan. San Jose went through that process about 2 years ago, and you probably know it was a complete disaster. The CAL FIRE grant, I think they pulled it after a while because they weren't happy with what San Jose did. And so there's probably a lot of lessons learned from what San Jose went through. And you may want to call Rhonda at our city forest. She can probably provide you a lot of that information. But just sort of be careful because that was a very tricky road for the city of San Jose to traverse.
Fair point. We're, on a county level, we're not an island. We do work across, looking across best practices and, starting from, how things could be, improved. And absolutely, we have a new staff member in place specifically focused on this plan. So.
Right. So you've talked to DOT in San Jose because they're the ones that drove that. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Commissioner Rouser.
Yeah, a couple of questions, but just thanks for the presentation. There's a lot of good stuff going on, and you guys sort of have your own language that you guys use now to describe everything. And I'll keep my comments to the report itself. One of the first slides said we have a goal of zero waste. If you could maybe just expand on that. I mean, I have to haul my own trash out now, or what is that going to mean? And then some of the statistics about maybe disadvantaged communities with canopies and whatnot, is that unincorporated county or is that county-wide? Because I would assume you guys are really dealing with a whole county, and we are sort of, our jurisdiction is more the unincorporated. So I just want to kind of put that in perspective a little bit. Is there any information on the unincorporated part that we could drill into a little bit? Thank you.
I can speak to, so zero waste, that, one of those, as you mentioned, terms that is very specifically defined. That is defined in our carbon neutrality for county operations. I'm guessing you're referencing the county operations side, but I could look into that and see how they're defining that. But it's not literally every single piece of trash it's a commonly assumed metric of percentage, but I can look that up for you.
And I might just add a point of clarification. When we were developing the sustainability master plan, it kind of morphed into a lot of things. Like, we wanted to look at our own county operations, but because of the nature of what all the different departments do and how holistic we are, we do a lot of things that are focused on the unincorporated area in our own county operations, but also reaching out to the larger community. So some of the zero waste goals are specific to county operations and working with employees to be able to reduce waste and know how to separate and compost and different things like that. But there's also community-wide efforts that we're connecting through to be able to promote like zero waste activities and composting and things like that as well. We don't have we have like county-specific zero waste goals and targets that are included in the sustainability and master plan, but not as maybe in depth for the community-wide and unincorporated area. I think some of our work with SB 1383 is going to be getting into some of that a little bit more.
Yeah, I did put my hands on the wording from the carbon neutrality for county operations, if that would help. So the way we're defining it for our own operations is divert 100% of achievable waste from county-owned facilities. So that's waste that we can conceivably achieve to divert. And there are some, there's some minutia in that definition, understanding that some waste can't technologically, because of technological limitations, et cetera, cannot be diverted. Another one is to implement organics collection in 100% of county facilities, which is related to that SB 1383 state mandate. So that achievable waste 100% is a goal for 2030.
Can you just bring it down to, I'm just a simple folk from South County, what does that mean, zero waste? I heard what you just said, and I can't apply it. I have no hook to put that information on. I'm sorry.
I would be very happy to get someone from facilities and fleet to provide a more detailed explanation.
Okay,
Of that.
I can understand less going to land waste. I can understand reuse as much as possible. I assume these are sort of related things
Yes.
that this thing will touch on then?
Yeah, it's essentially what it would boil down to is the least amount that is going to landfill as you can achieve. So the most you can compost, the most that you can recycle, or source reduction, like don't create the waste in the first place. Those go into that concept of zero waste.
Okay.
If I may, through the chair. So some of the concepts that we deal with in the county, in the departments, is like we're not allowed to buy, I'm just using this as an example, we're not allowed to buy any type of plastics for like water and that kind of thing. That's why you'll see in the back when we bring things, we bring a jug and we bring cups. They have fill-ups that they want us to use, like the reusable cups. They're trying to get us to use paper products if we're having an event, not plastic products. And it goes so far as even the type of products that are in our bars. Like they don't want us to use really bars that are wrapped individually, because that goes into the waste and that doesn't break down. And so that from a practical standpoint, these are some of the things that they talk with us about when they're speaking with us about zero waste, right? We reuse our paper. We don't just throw it away. For a while they were making notepads that people could use at the front counter. I mean, I'm just saying that's like a practical use of like zero waste, right? We're not so much in that, well, our cafeteria is closed right now, but some of the other food places like in San Francisco, they're not just throwing food out now, they're like selling food to people for like $7, because that adds to the whole greenhouse gas emissions, the breakdown. So there's a lot of things that they're trying to get us to think outside of the box on how we can apply the 100% zero waste. But these are just some of the issues that we have. And now we are keeping our laptops longer, because that was a big deal, recycling them. No, now we're using them longer, and, how can they be reused? And because taxpayers have paid for them, so they're really trying to think outside of the box on the zero waste, 100% zero waste.
Thank you. That's helpful. As I read the presentation, prior to coming in here, it is a lot of information, and then it's just another agency that may or may not have direct responsibility over a lot of areas. So, I can see doing the training and everything, that certainly is very easy for you guys to do, but a lot of this stuff is not stuff you're in control of. You're basically just trying to influence, and to the extent the state or federal government gives us mandates, you're trying to just put some meat onto that and help us through that. So I get a lot of that, and some of those examples seem to sort of bring it down to the local level of things that you are doing that are making an impact. Some of the foster kids and different things like that. That's fantastic, because a lot of the issues that we're seeing, even in the unincorporated county, a lot of those things are directly related to many of the things that you guys are working on. So those were just some of my thoughts as I was going through this, trying to just relate this to the Planning Commission and South County. How can I sort of tailor that, because many people in the unincorporated, well, a lot of people want to be left out in the unincorporated county, but a lot of the times it seems the cities get a lot of the attention and the unincorporated doesn't. So I just want to continue to kind of raise the needs and stuff of the unincorporated county. So thank you.
Vice Chair Belska.
On the topic of zero waste, I'm just curious, does the sustainability plan cover construction waste, or is that entirely covered by CalGreen?
Do we have specific goals on C and D,
There's 90 different targets in our sustainability master plan, but and there's a specific section on waste. We do look at construction waste. That is part, I'm trying to recall if that is also one of our specific targets that we have, or if that's just one of the incoming efforts that we want to be able to look into. That is also through like our roads and airports department. So we work with collective different county departments who are all kind of having their hands in the different type of waste, but we are definitely looking, and the sustainability master plan mentions waste from like construction and reconstruction and roadways and things like that. So that is some of the details within the sustainability master plan. I don't happen to recall what our current like goals are, how we're reaching for that specific target.
This might be more of a question for planning department, but would CalGreen be sort of like the overarching, or would the sustainability plan, like which would be the driver?
Well, anything that's required under state law that's a requirement. So R&D. So anytime that you're demolishing a structure, there are requirements for how that waste is diverted and where it's going to, and there are requirements for receipts to be delivered. Sometimes it's triggered by the size of the development. And I don't know the specifics of those triggers because that's usually through our building division that's triggered. Okay. Or if you have a large plan, like a good example would be like a Stanford GUP, we might have conditions of approval that may require above and beyond actually what the state's minimum would require. And then any fleets and facilities buildings, so if the county had its own policies that exceeded the state law, that's what that department would try to be impactful on in terms of the sustainability plan. Like, I don't know the exact policies under that plan because we don't oversee it, but we participate with them whenever possible. And that would be similar for any other department. So if the county demolished this building, they would try to see where can they repurpose certain types of seats or chairs or the wood or et cetera. And if you can't, you divert it to the right landfill or to another, they call them MRFs, but other type of areas where they repurpose that type of material. Does that help answer?
Yeah, I think it does. Thank you.
Sure.
I've got a question. You mentioned the county fleet being diesel-free by 2033. The county diesel fleet is massive, especially the off-road and on-road, if you lump them together. Is there any outside funding available to help the county electrify the fleet?
I can touch on that. We're currently in the process of putting together a diesel-free by 33 study, and that's one of the elements of that study process is to identify opportunities for resources to meet the goals of that. So we look forward to that coming out and having more information about, what is the state of things, what's achievable, and where we can procure funding for that. I will say too, to an earlier point, there are quite a lot of different pots of money that are out there. The county, our office actually is working on a grants bench, working through the process of securing vendors to support grant writing and scoping on subjects related to this. So we hope to have more support in those types of technical questions, what's out there, what's appropriate for our county, those sorts of questions we hope to be better explored through that.
And I might just also add to that our facilities and fleet department, they look at our internal county operations, like you were mentioning, our fleet. So they are constantly looking for ways to, when our vehicles need to be rotated, they're constantly looking for funding to be able to get them to be hybrid or all electric. We're also dabbling in looking at, like Ford F-150 trucks and to be able to have like bigger powered vehicles to be able to help with some of the large equipment that we need within the county. And Parks is going to be having a couple coming within their department as well. So we're constantly looking for funding sources to be able to electrify our fleet. And then also within our own county operations, always in continuing to increase the vehicle charging as well, because that's an issue for making sure there's enough available for the county employees, the public that uses our parking spaces, as well as for our fleet. So constantly looking to increase the number of our vehicle charging stations as well.
And through the
And we're partnering also with like folks like SVCE and Silicon Valley Clean Energy. There's PG&E funding, constantly looking for those funding sources.
Through the chair, there's the funding ebbs and flows through whatever administration is also in office at the federal level and all the way down to the state and local. But for the most part, in the last 15 years, the funding source has been pretty fluid when it comes to replacing fleets and et cetera. So, I mean, I've seen it ebb and flow a little, but always there's a flow of grant money or financing of some sort.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'll now open the public comment and ask if there's any speakers.
We have no speakers in chambers, and one moment for Zoom speakers. And we have no raised hands in Zoom.
You said no raised hands?
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. We're going to move on to item number 5.
If I may.
Go ahead.
I just want to go ahead and thank again the Office of Sustainability for coming here to give this presentation and educating us on this master plan that we have going on in the county. So thank you, Tanya and Gilly, for coming this evening. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item number 5, accept the annual report for calendar year 2022 relating to compliance with conditions of approval for Stevens Creek Quarry. The owner is Stevens Creek Quarry, Inc., applicant Jason Voss, property address 12100 Stevens Canyon Road, Cupertino, parcel number 351-10-19, 40 acres, 351-1020, 40 acres, and 351-18-48, 66.2 acres. General Plan Hillside Zoning District HS-D1-SR and HS-D1 Supervisory District number 5. Does staff have a presentation?
We do have with us this evening Principal Planner Rob Salisbury, as well as our Assistant County Counsel here, Elizabeth Vissers, who helps oversee our quarries. I think we just have an oral short report and are available for any questions or comments. But I'll hand it over to Mr. Salisbury now.
Thank you, Deputy Director McHale, and thank you, Chairperson O'Donoghue. Yeah, no formal presentation, but I'll just provide a brief summary of the report and then leave it open for questions from the Commission. So compared to the last couple of years, 2022 was relatively quiet. We did conduct our monthly inspections as we've been doing for 7 or 8 years now. We conducted our annual inspection as required under SMARA and reached out to the different agencies to find out if there are any violations or issues to report. And as the staff report notes, no violations or issues from most of the agencies. DEH did report a few minor violations, most of which have since been rectified. Work on the EIR pursuant to their use permit application is underway and moving along, and hopefully that will be coming before this commission relatively soon. But overall, it was a relatively quiet year, and we did find that Stevens Creek Quarry was in compliance with their use permit, operational use permit conditions of approval. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the Planning Commission may have.
Okay, does the Commission have any questions? Commissioner Rouser.
When can we get a trip out there? I'd like to do that before the EIR so I can put it all in context. I'd rather go with, I don't mind going by myself, but if we can get some economies of scale, obviously the whole group can't go unless we notice it, but I'd like to just put that out there because pictures tell 1,000 words, but being there is even better, so.
Certainly something that we could work to arrange. I have previously reached out to the operator who's actually in the audience tonight to arrange a meeting, and they expressed willingness to do so. I do think we would need to be in a couple of different groups in order for it to not have to be a noticed meeting. But if yourself and other members of the commission would like to take a tour, I do think that can be arranged.
I think a lot of us would like to attend, so that would be great. Any other questions from commissioners?
That was all I had. Thanks for the report, and that's it.
Okay. Commissioner or Vice Chair Belska.
Just a quick question, maybe I just missed it. So there's a lot of really great reference material in this report that I'm trying to get through in preparation for when the EIR comes and sort of understand the history since I am new to the commission. I couldn't find the notice, the 2017 notice of violation in the attachments. It says refer to attachment E, except attachment E is actually something else. Attachment E is the SOTC. It's not actually the 2017 notice of violations. Did I miss something in the packet?
No, my apologies for any confusion. There was an initial violation and then an amendment to that violation. So the naming was possibly a little bit confusing, but what was attached to your staff report was the amendment to that initial 2017 violation.
Which document is that?
That is attachment E.
So just for clarification, Rob, through the chair, attachment E says the May 16th, 2018 amended compliance agreement and SOTC on the agenda. And then attachment F says August 11th, 2021 NOV. Is that the one?
I believe Commissioner Belska was asking about the 2017 notice of violation.
Yes.
Yeah, so there was an initial 2017 notice of violation that was issued to Stevens Creek Quarry for a variety of different issues, soap instabilities and failures and a few other items. And as a result of that notice of violation, the county and Stevens Creek Quarry entered into a compliance agreement and a stipulated order to comply. So what I've provided in the staff report is the amended compliance agreement and the stipulated order to comply. I do apologize if that was confusing, and I can certainly provide the 2017 violation as well as the compliance agreement and stipulated order to comply that followed from that violation as part of next year's report.
That would be great, just so we have a comprehensive picture. Thank you.
Commissioner Levy.
Yes, I'd also be interested in a little clearer understanding of the violations and where we stand, so forth. If I understand staff report, they've done very well this year, and I think last year as well. But 2021 there was a report with significant number of violations, and then the required compliance to make sure that they resolve these violations. It'd be nice to know how. And maybe I missed it, maybe it's in there, but how they're doing on those compliance, those violations. And are you comfortable that things are moving forward with all the violations that did occur in 21 and earlier?
Yes, I would say that Stevens Creek Quarry has been generally providing the materials that are required under the compliance agreement. Part of the reason for the lack of extensive information in the staff report for covering calendar year 2022 is that the compliance agreements were in the process of being amended to change some of the dates, and the amendment was just accepted a week or so ago. So we can provide a more detailed report with the new compliance agreement that contains the new dates, and provide a bit more detail to the commission for the report that'll cover calendar year 2023.
Great. And I'm very interested in going on a tour as well. I think the tour of Lehigh was very worthwhile that we had a few years ago. It would be great if staff could provide us with some information in advance. These are the things we should be looking at. These are some of the past violations that we should be paying attention to. These are some of the primary issues that are going to come up with the new permit and within the EIR. So it would be nice to get a little prep work in advance for the tour.
We can certainly work to arrange that tour. Of course, we'll need agreement by the operator.
Of course.
And we can certainly provide some relevant context and background either during or prior to the tour. We want to be a little bit careful, though, of course, about not getting into too many details about the use permit or the EIR prior to it coming to this commission for a formal decision.
Oh, I see. You have potential Brown Act violations if we have.
Correct, but certainly there's a lot of information already in our records relating to the 2017 violation and slope stability that the current use permit application and reclamation plan that we're processing is, among other things, intended to correct.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. I'm going to open public comment. There's no other questions. Are there any speakers, and if the applicant is present, if they would like to address the commission?
The applicant apparently does not wish to address the commission, and we have no speakers.
And nobody on Zoom, right?
We have no one in Zoom either.
Okay. Then I will close public comment. Now
I'll
I'm
make a
gonna-
motion, we accept the report.
You beat me to it.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Rouser and a second to receive the report by Commissioner Escobar. Any discussion? Going once, going twice? Okay.
I will go ahead and take a roll call vote then.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Levy? Commissioner Escobar?
Yes.
Commissioner Rouser?
I approve.
Vice Chairperson Belska?
Yes.
Chairperson O'Donohue?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, going on to other reports. We already did SIMPAC, which there was no report for that. And any reports from commissioners? No reports from commissioners. Any report from county council?
No report.
How about the planning commission secretary?
Thank you, Lisa Mikhail. So we would like to report back to the Planning Commission that on October 17th, the Board of Supervisors did formally certify the environmental impact report that covered the Stanford Community Plan, the housing element update, as well as some of the general plan amendments. Did not look at the zoning ordinance or the zoning map amendments. Those will be coming forward before the Planning Commission at the next November meeting. The board also adopted officially the Stanford Community Plan with some amendments. They moved forward with a 75-25 split for the housing on campus versus the off-site campus, which are in Stanford lands, just adjacent or contiguous. There were a few other edits and amendments and additions they did as well there. And they also adopted the housing element update. The staff in the Department of Planning and Development has subsequently submitted its housing element to the State Housing and Community Development, HCD. And so we await any potential comments from them. They have 60 days to respond. And I don't have anything additional to add. I believe at the last meeting I informed the commission, it was a late night, but I think I informed you we had a new senior planner that was hired. So Eunice Ben is her name. Thank you. And I think we officially have to say the next report, but I don't have anything additional to add.
No report from the deputy director.
Correct.
Did they accept the one addition we had to review the housing element again in 4 years? That was,
No, that's required under the state law automatically that we consider the stance of the county under its housing element at the 4-year mark. That was not part of the motion.
okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, we receive any reports from the director?
No report.
Okay, announcements and correspondence. There is currently one vacancy on the commission. For vacancies, go to the website listed below. The County of Santa Clara provides reimbursement to commissioners for family care expenses. And I think that is it. Okay, the next
The chair, is this a record?
Apologies to the chair. There is acknowledging receipt of correspondence under 13C.
I see it now. Okay, we received correspondence number 118211. Do we know what that is?
It's attached to the agenda.
Got
It
it.
was all Sergeant Ranch Quarry and a couple Stanford Community Plan update comments that came in after the hearing.
Excellent. Okay. Then I think we are ready to adjourn the meeting. The next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, November 16th at 6 p.m. in the Board of Supervisor chambers right here.
Thank you. Before 7 p.m.
Where's my gavel?